Hey projection mappers, this is Dan Phillips from Phillips Projections, and you are watching the first video in my 2022 After Effects tutorial series. I was thinking it is about time to refresh and just go through and create a new After Effects tutorial. I had made one quite a few years ago at this point, which is still very applicable, and it's a great resource for you. And I might go into more depth in certain areas or leave out certain areas, so it might be good to look at both of them. However, I thought it was good to do a nice new refresh overview using the new software. Even though it hasn't changed a lot, there's little minimal tweaks that you might find. So in this video today, we're going to be looking at just doing a crash course in Adobe After Effects. Let's dig in. I pulled up one of my Halloween shows, and this was the Friends on the Other Side, and this will give you a good chance to see what a show looks like when it comes out. Now, this is one, I will give the caveat that I have been doing this for quite some time, so this is not my first show, and your first show should not look like this. It would be great if it did, but don't expect it to look at this. This is something you can build towards and then surpass me, which is my end goal. But looking at this, you'll be able to get a good idea of what it looks like, and I can give you actual live examples. So I loaded my file, and this is what your screen will pretty much look like once you go in and create your new composition, which is one of the first steps that you do as you open up After Effects. Once you get in here, this is the general default view. Over here on the left side is your project, and this is the library of all of your resources. And I like to keep my resources organized, and I'll go into this a little bit later. But you can see that once I start opening these folders, you'll see that there are a lot of things that you will accrue over the time. And I can just keep going. There's more and more as it goes. But I'm going to close these up just to keep it simple at this point. So when I'm looking at my folders, these are easily created. So you can import things easy. You can drag and drop them over. You can click up in File, and then go to Import, and you can import files in here, and I'll go over that. There are folders that you can create, so you can create a new folder by clicking here, naming it something that makes sense. I usually try to keep the same naming conventions in all of my shows, so as I'm moving forward and back, they all make sense and they are where I expect them to be when I expect them to be there. And the biggest thing I want to emphasize is organized. Keep it organized from the start, and it will make your life so much easier. So this is your library view, and I forgot to mention, when you go ahead and you click on one, there is a view up here that will tell you a little bit about your file and give you a picture of it. This one's actually black and transparent, so let me go to one that makes sense. So I'll go into my files, go into my videos, and I'll pick my tarot cards. So this is the waving tarot cards. Now another thing you can do in this is you can double click on it, and it will open up the footage in a separate window, and this is your viewing space. And I'm sure they have a technical term for it, but this is really where the footage will come up, your composition, your end result will be up on this screen. So as I go in here, and I can scroll through and I can see the file. So you can play this, and it's not adding it into your show, it's just playing it separate, and you can see that it says footage up here. So you can click back and forth and leave it open, or you can close it out by clicking that little X. But it's a nice way to see your footage as you go. And so I'm going to go ahead and go to the next part. So the next part, since I already started talking about it, this is that viewer window. and they will open up in tabs going across as you open them up. Each one of these files you can open up. Anything over here you can open up, and it's a nice way to go back and forth and check. It's almost like having multiple monitors, but you're clicking back and forth. Underneath there, you have a few options. In those options, you have your view. A lot of time, I will be using like the fit or fit up to 200. So after you go to zoom in, it's easiest to just click over here, hit fit up to 200, and we'll go back to your space. Over here, this is your rendering. So when I click on this, it will give you a couple options, and you can see, hopefully you can see by the quality of it that this is pretty blurry. I have it set to quarter. So as you are doing your rendering, and if you're just kind of going through and doing some big bulk things with placement and you don't need clarity, then I recommend going to quarter. It will be less heavy on your computer, and you'll be able to render the files as you are playing quicker. If you have to fine tune something, you can go up all the way up to full, and you can watch and see that these cards, well, it's loading, and then those cards will get crisp and clear. There you go. And they will get much clearer, but you'll see as you start scanning across that it takes longer to render. Let's see the bar loading. But if I had that set to, third or quarter, it will go really quick. So here, let me scroll over, and it's all ready. See how that works? It really is very helpful as you're going through. Over here, you have some other options like a fast preview, toggle transparency grid, mask and shape. A lot of these I do not use very often, to be honest with you. This one is one that I kind of use more so, but a lot of them I don't use very often. Here you can change around, you can mess with your color. Once again, I don't use that very often. This is exposure, so you can change your exposure, make it brighter, make it darker. You can see it's getting brighter, getting darker, and if you click on this, it should reset it. There it goes. Hey guys, I hope you are enjoying the tutorial so far. There is a lot of time and research that I put into all of these tutorials. It is great that we have platforms like this that I can help share and spread the knowledge. These tutorials are ad-supported and from donations from generous viewers like you. In an effort to further share the information, give a better experience for the viewers, share files and resources, as well as support the channel monetarily, I created a website and a course. The website houses a lot of information and resources from many great contributors in the projection mapping community. It is updated regularly as new useful resources become available. The course, that's another resource that is continuing to grow. It acts as an organized and ad-free experience. There is exclusive content and resources that are included with the course enrollment. For instance, the media used in the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation tutorial series, well, that's in the course, included for free. You just need to click to download. The final platform is the store. In the store, you will find different resources that are available for purchase at reasonable prices. Keep an eye out for coupons and specials, especially during the off-season. All of the funds that are raised are reinvested back into the growth of the channel through purchases of hardware, software, and other things that can be used to create new tutorials, reviews, and demonstrations. There are 2 free things that you can do right now to support the channel. Please like this video and subscribe below. The more likes and followers that we have, the more likely companies are to send loaner or demo resources for us to work with and share on this website, all free for you to access. I thank you for your time and consideration of supporting this channel. Please enjoy the remainder of your free tutorial. Here is the active time, and you can also type in a time. So if I type in, 2, and I don't even know where that's going to bring me. So here's rolling the dice. Beautiful, right? All right, let me go to one. I don't know, 110. Okay, and there you go. Now we have more of a scene that you can see. Sometimes I'll just have a solid color in, so that's what you saw back there. Anyway, so I have my 110 there, and you can jump through, and as you move this bar down here, it will also update. Over here on this side, this is where you have all those drop downs. A lot of this, so let's click on info. This is one that just kind of tells you about your placement, the color that you are hovering over, which could be useful to get the values. Info is usually what's defaulted on. Audio is another thing that you can play and tweak with as you're going. I usually don't do it from here, but it is there. Preview. This is a way to change the preview as you're going through. You can change to have cache going before. You can hit stop and start. The shortcut is the spacebar, and I do use that a lot as I'm playing through, so that way it's a nice, easy thing for me to tap and move. You can have it set to play from the beginning. You can have it set from a start range or from a set range. You can change your frame rate. These are all different things. You can have it go full screen. So watch what happens when I hit spacebar. Now as it will go in and out. I usually don't do that just because it's a little extra rendering heavy. So I'm good with it in this video. I usually just leave it alone. I leave this shortcut as the spacebar, and that's that. This is one thing that I really do use a lot. I use the effects panel, and there's a lot of different things in here, different options that you have. There are set effects, like if I go to transitions, there are some set effects that you can have and put in, and you just grab, drag, and drop it onto your spot that you want to use it. Here's another one that I use a lot. The keying is another thing that you can use. A lot of times, instead of going through and clicking through all of this, if I know what I'm looking for, I just type it in the search. So I'll type in like key, and then I'll go to the Luma key or the linear color key. I'll put in whatever I'm looking for at that point. So that's your effects toolbar. There's alignments, libraries that you have. There's characters that goes into like texts and different things as you are putting in words. You have tracker, which I'm not going to get into now. That will be another video. Content aware fill. There's all different things that you can pick from. But for the most part, out of all of these, what I use is the effect bar. And I usually just keep this open on the side. All right, let's move to the next spot. So down here, this is the focal point that you will be spending the majority of your time manipulating from. Over here, you have different layers, and we can talk about layers in another video, but essentially what it is if you're thinking about like a hamburger, if you're looking at a hamburger from the top, the only thing you really see is the top of the bun. But you know that as you pull away each layer, if you cut a hole in the top of the bun, you could see down through it into that next layer, which might be the cheese or the lettuce, depending on your hamburger or cheeseburger. So that is kind of like what this is, and each one of them has a different level as it goes through. So you can see that at the very top, I have a mapping template. And if I turn it on, you're not going to see much. You'll see, yep, there you go. So some little lines showed up here. And that's just because I have a lot of other things going on. And this just gives me a reference. So I know that this card is right within my garage door. This card is clear of the windows in this open space. Really helps me visualize. So I can turn it on and off. And the layers to turn them on and off are the little eyeball that's down the side. This is a quick way to turn a layer on or turn a layer off visual, and it doesn't modify or change anything about the layer. It just makes it so you can see it or you can't see it. So another thing, let's see if I go on to, let's see if I can get to a good spot. All right, so here we have this snake. Let's see if I can find the snake. Hey guys, I hope you are enjoying the tutorial so far. There is a lot of time and research that I put into all of these tutorials. It is great that we have platforms like this that I can help share and spread the knowledge. These tutorials are ad supported and from donations from generous viewers like you. In an effort to further share the information, give a better experience for the viewers, share files and resources, as well as support the channel monetarily, I created a website and a course. The website houses a lot of information and resources from many great contributors in the projection mapping community. It is updated regularly as new useful resources become available. The course, that's another resource that is continuing to grow. It acts as an organized and ad-free experience. There is exclusive content and resources that are included with the course enrollment. For instance, the media used in the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation tutorial series, well, that's in the course, included for free. You just need to click to download. The final platform is the store. In the store, you will find different resources that are available for purchase at reasonable prices. Keep an eye out for coupons and specials, especially during the off-season. All of the funds that are raised are reinvested back into the growth of the channel through purchases of hardware, software, and other things that can be used to create new tutorials, reviews, and demonstrations. There are 2 free things that you can do right now to support the channel. Please like this video and subscribe below. The more likes and followers that we have, the more likely companies are to send loaner or demo resources for us to work with and share on this website, all free for you to access. I thank you for your time and consideration of supporting this channel. Please enjoy the remainder of your free tutorial. An easy way to look for the snake is to use the timeline bar, which is right over here. At the very top of the bar, you will see a length, and the little blue things on the side can change the viewing of how much you view in this work area. Then you also have the work area, and over on the right here is the work area end, and this is where it stops the looping of your song. To change the length of the song, you would go up into composition, go down to composition settings, and then at the bottom you will see the duration, and that's where you will set where you want your work area to end. Above the work area and the numbers, there is another bar up here. This bar has a little line there that helps you scroll back and forth, but what it really does is if you look over here, this shows what you are viewing. So if I move this little left one over, it will bring me to 1 minute, and if I bring this one over, it zooms me in closer to the time that I'm at. So this is a nice, great way to click and drag and move your way around the timing. You can also do that by zooming in and out or pinching and pulling with your fingers on the trackpad. You can do it that way, or you can do it manually. And so a lot of times I will use this, just grab it, zoom in, and move back and forth depending on what I need to do. This is another great thing. But anyway, let's go back to what I was talking about after I kind of jumped. Remember, I was looking to find, where was it? It was the snake. So let's see if I can go back. There we go. All right, so the snake shadow. Whoop. Where'd you go? There he is. All right. So to find the active snake shadow, if you look at this line here, if you look at this line going straight down, that shows the exact timing that you are at that moment, which is 40 seconds. So as I'm looking down, anything that is a color in here, not dark gray, but a color, is active on the screen. However, these red blocks over here, these layers are not active during this time. So if I'm looking to see what is active here, I can see that this layer is active, number 1, which is the mapping template. Right here, the whole house circle. This is how I close in and mask the house. Here, watch and see if I turn it on and off. Watch what happens. So you can see a little bit of a change there as it kind of cleans up those ends. And that's just because how I created my scene, my facade. I have it nice and tight to the mask. So let's keep going down here. I have the voodoo dolls at the end. I have the friend princess. This is the song. And then if I go down more, here are some cards that are there. And probably in the backgrounds, I have singing faces and the shortened. So I'm looking for my snake. So my snake is all the way down here in this shadow scene. This is called a composition. So I have one composition, which is my main composition, my other side full, but within this composition, because it gets pretty crazy with the amount of things that I do, I separate the show into mini compositions, and you can see the list of mini compositions up here. What this is this is another set just like this, and I'll open it up for you. This is another set, but it has a lot going on in it, so to try to keep my main composition cleaner with less layers, I have it broken up into a scene. So here is my shadow monster scene, and it still keeps me at that 40 seconds, but now you can see the house looks a lot different. I have different lighting effects going on. I have my snake here, and I have different things that are moving around the scene. So to try to keep things a little cleaner, I have what's called a pre-composition. Alright, so as I'm moving down, I'm looking for my snake. It is right here, and I can turn it on and off by clicking on the eyeball. There he goes. And now he's back. And even if I turn this off, if I would go to render this right now, my snake would be missing it on the render, but it would still be technically there. So now that we talked a little bit about this area of the screen, I want to go a little deeper in the layers. As you're looking across, I showed you about the eyeball, which turns the layer on and off. This is audio, and then you have a locking layer, which is another feature that I use as well. Over here, this is solo, and this is to hide all the non-solo things. So if you wanted just to focus on one thing, you would turn that on, and then it would just show you a few things. So if I wanted to just show, I don't know, if I just wanted to show, let's see, what's like the background, I can click on that, and now it's just showing that side. Alright, so that's the solo option, and then a lock. So if I have something that I've worked really hard and I want to make sure I don't move it, like these spotlights, I could click and I could lock these spotlights in. I can do it individually, or I can click and drag, and that also does the lock as well. That's another way you can do it. Hey guys, I hope you are enjoying the tutorial so far. There is a lot of time and research that I put into all of these tutorials. It is great that we have platforms like this that I can help share and spread the knowledge. These tutorials are ad supported and from donations from generous viewers like you. In an effort to further share the information, give a better experience for the viewers, share files and resources, as well as support the channel monetarily, I created a website and a course. The website houses a lot of information and resources from many great contributors in the projection mapping community. It is updated regularly as new useful resources become available. The course, that's another resource that is continuing to grow. It acts as an organized and ad-free experience. There is exclusive content and resources that are included with the course enrollment. For instance, the media used in the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation tutorial series, well, that's in the course, included for free. You just need to click to download. The final platform is the store. In the store, you will find different resources that are available for purchase at reasonable prices. Keep an eye out for coupons and specials, especially during the off-season. All of the funds that are raised are reinvested back into the growth of the channel through purchases of hardware, software, and other things that can be used to create new tutorials, reviews, and demonstrations. There are 2 free things that you can do right now to support the channel. Please like this video and subscribe below. The more likes and followers that we have, the more likely companies are to send loaner or demo resources for us to work with and share on this website, all free for you to access. I thank you for your time and consideration of supporting this channel. Please enjoy the remainder of your free tutorial. Next to that, you'll see this little caret. When you click on the caret, it will give you the different options of the layer. So different effects that you have on that specific layer, transforming tools, or the audio for that specific layer. When you click on effects, these are the effects that are active in the layer. So for this layer itself, the snake shadow, I have the linear color key. I have that on there. I have changing color on there. And then when I click on that, it shows me the different options that I have in this specific area as well. And you can change these, and I won't get into them right now. I'll get into those a little bit later. You can turn that on and off by clicking this over here in that eyeball side. So you can turn on the effect and off the effect as well if you want to check into something. Transforming, this is a big part that you use a lot. We'll talk about some of these things later as we go through the tutorials, like the anchor point, your position. So this position, you can move it by just clicking and dragging going this way. That's your X value. Here's your Y value. Or you can type in the coordinates that you want. Here we have scale. Same thing. You can click and drag or type it in. Rotation. And your opacity. The opacity is like a fancy way of saying like transparent or not. How much you want to be able to see through it. Audio, these are different audio options as well, and it's pretty much just the audio level, the sound level. And I'm just going to give you fair warning, a little bit goes a long way with this. Next to all of these things, you saw this little clock. This is for keyframing, and let's give you a demo of the keyframing. So going down into this garage area, I'm going to expand. And you'll see on the timeline there's all these little dots. These are keyframes, which is telling the computer to do a certain effect or transformation at a certain time. And so if I go into this effect here, I'll see that there is a shatter effect. So I'll click on that. And then you can see this over here. Let's go into Force 1. And these are all on the layer line, so you can follow a line across and see exactly what it's talking about. So right here, if I go to this part of the video, you'll see that the wall starts shattering. See it in the background? This is telling me to change the radius. So at this spot, and you can try to fine tune it this way, or you can click on these arrows. So if I go right, it will go snap right to that keyframe. And you can see that this got highlighted. So at that spot, I want the radius to be 0. And you can see that nothing is happening there. And then at the next keyframe, I want the radius to be 37, which is exploding out that space. And you can see that there are multiple spots of explosion. that's happening, but this one is just referring to that one spot. And you can see how that changed over time. So watch, I'll go slow. You can see as it's going, and as it's expanding, it's exploding out that radius. So that's an example of keyframes here, and I'll click on this arrow to close through or down, because there's also other spots of the keyframe. So right over here, if I follow this layer across, it's in the transforming layer. And this is where the opacity is changing. So at this point, so at the beginning, it's full, it's like at 99 or 100, and then I'm going to the next one and it's down to 0. So this is making this item, which happens to be the garage, fully visible, so you can see the shattered pieces still there, and then the shattered pieces are leaving as it's going across. So that's another option that you have, which is using keyframing, which you will use a lot to get certain effects. So going back, this shows a little bit about my layers and how the layers work, how they are stacked up on top of each other. And over here, this is showing the timing. So this is the timing, and it shows active layers as it's going. And we talked a little bit about pre-comps. So looking back, let's go back to my other show, and you can see just like above the viewer, this one also has tabs that you can jump around between. So if I go back, here's the full, and here's one of my compositions. I don't know how I skipped the toolbar on this one. So here's my home, and this will bring me back to the home where I can create new. I can go back to an old one. This is just that home page. These are different selection tools. So if I have my selection tool on here and I click on a certain object, there we go. Let me go into the shadow scene there. And I click on a certain object, it's changing and selecting that object as I manipulate. This hand tool is for as I'm zoomed in, or I am wanting to manipulate and kind of move the scene, the view, without moving any of the images. You would use the hand tool and then select your way back to the selection tool. A really good thing to do is to learn the shortcuts. The shortcut for the selection tool is to press V, and the hand tool is to press H. You also have a zoom tool by touching Z, and that's a good way. You can either click and drag. So if I want to zoom up on his head, I click drag with that boundary box and it will zoom into his head. Or you can just click, click, click and hold Option or Control and click, click, click to zoom back out. This is working in a 3D space. You have pan cursor, you have the dolly towards cursor. A rotation tool is another option you have. Looking across, you have pan behind. Here are some other tools that you would use, like the rectangle tool. When you click on the rectangle tool, you can fill your tool right here by clicking and having different colors, or you can have it where it is empty. You can also go into the stroke here, which is the boundary. Nice thing about when you go into these color options, you can click over here for the eyedropper and you can select any color that's off on the side. So let's close out of that. And this is where you change the size of the boundary box or the stroke. Over here you have a pen tool. The pen tool is another one that you will use, and that is a great way to make a special selection. And then you have your text tool. So this is to add different type or words in. Once again, you click on it, click over here, and you can start typing away. And you noticed once I clicked on here that the character box opens up and allows you to change the settings as you go right off the bat. These tools, because they have the little arrow there, you can click and hold on them and they'll give you different options. This one gives you different shapes. This one gives you different selection options. and this one gives you different type options. As you go across, you have a brush tool that you could use, you have a clone stamp, you have an eraser tool, you have a roto brush, which we'll get into, and you'll have a puppet position tool. These are tools that you do use as you're going through. Over on this side, you have different views that you can click between. So if you like certain views in certain spaces, you can do that. Or you could do the same thing that I usually do, which is just leaving it set to default. The last thing that I do want to show you down below is just another way, and I just noticed that I missed it. You can go down to the bottom and you can use the zoom tool here to help if you did not want to mess with it up here manually. Alright, this is giving you a great down and dirty look at After Effects and its options and its workspace. I hope you learned something new in this video and maybe got some ideas that you could use in your own projection mapping show. If you would like to learn more about projection mapping using the Adobe Suite and DaVinci Resolve, you can check out the other videos on my YouTube channel at Phillips Projections. Take my course on holidayprojectionmapping.com, or you can poke around the constantly updated website. Make sure you like and subscribe to keep yourself updated and to support the channel. And thank you. I'll see you in the next tutorial.